wait a little longer. Greatness will arrive. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I am your host, Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and it is here where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest of all things PlayStation. Of course, you can listen to this show wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube at The Trophy Room. And if you like us, please consider dropping us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. It greatly helps us out. And if you really like us, you could drop us a buck over at patreon.com/badbit. So with all that said, and with all that out of the way, before I introduce the greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, we're recording this show a little early because we're giving our farewells to the PlayStation 4. And on Friday, we will be doing another show about our hands-on first impressions of the PlayStation 5. So, expect 2 shows this week. This one, you can consider it a little bonus show. Now, with all that said, with all that out of the way, the greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson, how are you, sir?
Good. Hurt my back. Well, other than that, old man
Why
problems.
did you hurt your back?
I bought a new TV stand.
Okay.
Because I was looking at my old one, and I really wanted to have the PS5 vertically. And this TV stand is like over a decade old, and it's glass, and it's kind of constrictive and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I need more shelves for like books and whatnot.
For activities, yeah.
For activities, yeah. And I built that thing weighed like 140 pounds, and just moving that up and down stairs, and
Yeah.
But
no,
hey,
I feel you there.
It looks good. I can now stand my PS5 vertically, so it's a win. It's a win.
I've started moving consoles out of the way to replace, for the new ones. And I've discovered how much dust I live with. Yeah. Like, it's a lot. It's actually too much. Mm-hmm. Like, last night, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I just had, like, so much energy. I'm like, I'm just going to start dusting this room now. Like, I was wiping off my PlayStation, or my Xbox One X, and it was just, like, caked on dust.
Ooh.
That's how much I really don't care about the thing. So it's just like, oh, this is gross. Because my Spider-Man PS4 is like the Spider-Man PS4. Nothing touches that console, or else you get the hands,
Yeah.
That said, Kyle, we are, at this point of recording, days away from the PlayStation 5. How do you feel?
As people are listening to this, 1 day away.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm ready. The little bit of gaming that I am doing recently, it's so weird. Even if this wasn't a thing on PS5, I'm sure we wouldn't notice it, but like I'm noticing load times so much.
Yes.
And I just keep playing a game, and when I see the words loading, I'm like, oh my God, I'm over it.
Pick it up. Pick up the pace.
Go. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited. I'm so pumped. I know what's awaiting for me as far as games, and every single game that I'm picking up on day one is going to be so much fun. I'm so ready.
Yeah, I actually, so here's a little story before we start the show, because we got a lot of show for you. Like, we're going to talk about my Assassin's Creed impressions, Valhalla, Bugsnax impressions. Kyle played Fuser. We're going to be talking about how Spider-Man Remastered for the PlayStation 5, there's some good news out of it, which is awesome. Also, we're going to be talking about the info dump for the PlayStation 5 that Sony dropped on us, which is a lot of good news and a lot of optimism there. But I got a text as we were about to record this show. I bought my PlayStation 5 directly from Sony themselves. Mm-hmm. I was one of Jim Ryan's chosen ones. Don't like to brag.
Still hate that.
I don't know why, I deserve it. And here's the thing. I signed up for the alerts. Mm-hmm. My console has been in Elizabeth, New Jersey, all alone, without a sweater, sitting there on some shelf, waiting for just a right home, which is my home, for this console. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's been there for like 2 or 3 days. I get an alert, and it says PlayStation 5 is on the way. And I'm like, oh, what? Days early? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. And no, FedEx just wanted to be a troll. It was just like, it's still in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I was like, you son of a bitch. don't tempt me driving, an hour to Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Which, fun fact, it's the highest population of British people.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of British folks live in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Just they can't just leave Queen Elizabeth alone. They got to go to the town.
I didn't even pick up on that. You did. Maybe that's where Andrew House really lives.
Ooh.
That said, Kyle, before we talk about all this great news and before we say farewell to the PlayStation 4, it's a little segment we like to call What You Been Playing. I want to go to you first.
Yeah.
Kyle. How's Fuser? And what's
man.
Fuser?
So Fuser is the new rhythm game from Harmonix. It was actually, I believe, debuted and announced at PAX East while we were there. I believe that was the day.
Harmonix, are they Guitar Hero or
they're
rock
band?
Rock band, okay.
Yeah.
The better one.
They also did Frequency and Amplitude on PS2, which are some of my favorite games ever. I love music rhythm games, and I've been hyped for this ever since I played it at PAX East. What a baller stage that was. Do you remember the stage that they had?
I remember. Before the dark times, I remember.
Before the dark times, man. And so, yeah, basically you are a DJ, and you have to get on the ones and twos and mix tracks to make sure the crowd is digging it, and you have to take requests on the bumping. There you go. You have to take requests from the crowd. Hey, sometimes they'll yell out, "Oh, give me a guitar track from a rock song," and you have to go through your list of pre-picked songs. And
Pearl Jam.
And get. I don't know if they're in the game or not, because not everything's unlocked. You have to use in-game stuff to unlock it. It is so much fun. It is extremely difficult. I'm finding it harder for me to get into the rhythm, pun intended, I guess, of the mechanics of dropping it on a downbeat and then pausing it on an upbeat or something like that. So there's a lot there. I'm in the campaign right now on the second stage. Every single new gig that I'm doing, new set, there's more mechanics being thrown at me.
Now, you said gigs, okay?
Yeah.
Which, it's cool that you're a gig worker in this game.
Uh-huh.
Do you start, is your gig, in a garage and you're working your way to Coachella?
No.
No?
So
you start from Coachella?
I don't know if it is Coachella, but it's a gigantic stage.
Will you turn into a hologram later on?
I sure as hell hope so. There's plenty of these really cool, LED masks and helmets and stuff that you can wear. But no, you start on a big stage. I'm forgetting the guy's name that gives you a chance. But then throughout that festival of that day, you work your way from playing at noontime all the way to the primetime spot at 8 for each location. And yeah, it's cool. The customization is awesome. You can customize what you look like, your dance moves, your celebratory moves. You can even customize what the screens are on stage and the fireworks and everything around you. There's a lot to it. It's going to take a while for everything to click.
Now, this is cool because, to me, it reminds me, the way you're talking about it, of, DJ Hero.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is it's all on a controller. There is no peripheral.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And it controls fine. It's very much, it's like that ever since Destiny come out. It's that circle that you move, the cursor that you move around the screen to highlight things.
Yeah.
And so that's how you are going through your tracks. The one downside of it is there's only a certain amount of tracks you can bring with you, songs. So you might not be able to have all your favorites in there. I'm sure that unlocks as I go and more slots will open up. Another cool thing that you can do is if you're really digging the sound that you are making with the songs the tracks from different songs that you make, you can save it and then use that for a future gig or something you do.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
That way you don't have to find that same combination. It's just there. I believe you can also share it to everyone playing, and they can use it as well and view it. It is cross-play. You can play against people from other systems. And what is kind of cool is next to my icon is the PlayStation logo.
Yeah.
So players will know what you're playing on, and I'm assuming you'll know who you're playing against. It seems like they're in this for the long haul, and it's going to have a lot of legs on it because
That's awesome.
it's not like a typical Rock Band game where each song is the same notes on the same difficulty level. This is constantly changing. You can do new mixes every single time you go in there.
That's
just
cool,
depending
dude.
how you're feeling. So there's a ton of replay value. It's if you like music rhythm games, this is a no-brainer. Please go get this game.
Hey, I've been playing the game too, you know.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Called Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Code provided by Ubisoft. And Kyle, if you have any questions, jump on in and I'll answer them the best I can. But that being said, I have an interesting relationship with Assassin's Creed because Black Flag was the game that actually got me into the PlayStation 4 generation. That was like one of the first games I really sunk my teeth into. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla is the game that will see me into the PlayStation 5 and out of the PlayStation 4 era. So it's this weird feeling of talking about this game because I kind of feel like I've gone full circle. Now that said, I did play Odyssey earlier this year. I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite games this generation. It just got so many things right. But I'll talk about first what I think there's going to be a lot of comparisons between Valhalla and Odyssey, rightly so. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think Valhalla gets right. And that being said, I think Valhalla's maps are a lot better than Odyssey's map. One of the problems that I had with Odyssey, though it was a huge, gigantic open world, it was just littered with pings, and it was littered with hidden loading screens, especially when you were on the boat. With Valhalla, you're set in the Viking era. You are a Viking, you're playing as Eivor, and you're going through multiple different maps in this game rather than this big open world. Two of which I could talk about. One of them is the Norseland, and then the second one being Great Britain. And because they're smaller maps, you don't get any type of hitching. You don't get any type of weird loading screen. Everything feels really smooth in that department. So even on a PlayStation 4 Pro, it didn't feel like this thing was showing its age or really pushing it to its limits. It really still felt like a solid game. And I can't wait to see what this game looks on next gen because the map itself, everything, the environments look gorgeous. Every time I'm in a synchronization point, it just looks so crispy. It feels like I'm in a painting. That being said though, they have also changed the combat system. It feels a little bit more reminiscent to like a BioWare game like Dragon Age 2 or like Dragon Age Inquisition. It's kind of trying to marry the two like fighting combat systems that you see in Assassin's Creed, the old school Assassin's combat where everything's a little bit more spaced out with the more, traditional or modern, R1, R2 mechanics we've seen in Odyssey and we've seen in Origins. That being said, this is the Origins team. So seeing them go for this more, focused out camera actually is a bit of a risk for them because Odyssey or Origins rather was really pushed inwards. So the one thing I like about the camera is I don't feel like I'm fighting with the camera because you're a Viking. You go on all different sorts of raids and you have these big battles and the camera really sets itself really well to not get in your way and you could see the whole combat. The problem with it though is because everything's spaced out, you don't really get a good sense of the enemy tells, like when you can parry or when's a good time to dodge. That's a little bit annoying. And also the enemies themselves aren't too difficult, which is a bit of a bummer. Again, the camera's about a little bit about of a give and a take. I feel like there's going to definitely be people that prefer Odyssey's camera, and I think there's going to be a camp that's definitely going to prefer the Valhalla. I just think I prefer Odyssey's combat a bit more than Valhalla's. Now, you also get abilities in Valhalla, which I like a whole lot more. So the abilities in Odyssey just got really overpowered, and it was pretty much like an I win button, where in Valhalla, they give you a little bit more of a breathing room. They're not completely overpowered, but if you are losing a fight or you do need a kind of get out of jail free card in a moment, you can use that to your advantage. So like there's a cool axe throwing ability that's kind of like an AoE and you just start throwing axes everywhere. There are even some more interactive ones like a Deadeye, kind of like in Red Dead Redemption, where you just aim your bow at all the targets in the battlefield and just let loose. Or there's even one where you run and charge out a guy and you knock him down and you just start using your L1 and R1 to start beating the guy up with your fists.
I have a couple questions to bounce off you there. Oh god, and they're gone.
And that just blinked.
One of the big selling points to Valhalla, compared to like Odyssey and Origins, is they've simplified like the quest, where there's not a ton of icons, or at least that's what they were, kind of like making sure gamers knew about it. Is that like realize the way that I'm hoping, where I'm not overwhelmed by icons everywhere, and I know where if I'm going here, I know exactly what I'm getting into.
Yeah, this one is. So one major complaint for people who haven't played Odyssey was there was too much to do, and they showed you too much. So there was quest pings all over the place. It kind of felt like you were overburdening the player with pings. They wanted to eliminate pings. So there's still pings on the map, like mysteries, which are your world events, or treasures, which will be your gear. So the one thing about the combat, as you mentioned it, it's not that big of a loot grind. You just have sets of gear. There's not as much gear from Valhalla to Odyssey, which is a benefit because you're not getting confused. You just know what you have, and it's kind of like Dark Souls in that sense of like, here's your one weapon. It's not going to change much throughout the whole game, and you're building that relationship with the weapon. Awesome. It's kind of what they're trying to do with weapons and armor in this game, and I like that. So the other thing that they do as well in terms of quests is, there's nothing on the map. You're just walking up to people who have like little bubbles on their heads, and you're kind of just talking to them and seeing what happens afterwards, which is really cool in theory. But I oftentimes feel like I'm missing out by not knowing if I like should have talked to that person or that person. It's kind of a weird anxiety that builds up. But so I don't know if I necessarily love it.
It's like you're at like a party. Yeah. And you're worried that everyone's talking about you, and you're missing out on some things over on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
And if you're focused over here, you're missing out on something that you might feel is beneficial.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Also, if you hear a dog barking, that's because we're recording this midday, and he doesn't understand that.
Same with the girls hopping around.
So, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like I feel like I'm missing out on something. But the mysteries, and like when you're in the open world and you're exploring, that's where the fun really has. That's where I get sidetracked. Awesome. Where in Odyssey, it was just like, here's a quest I'm doing, and I get sidetracked. Here, it's like, I'm doing something in the world, and I got sidetracked because I saw a beacon that I wanted to get to, or synchronization point. Like, the one example I use in the video I use here, I was at a synchronization point, and I was like, this is really cool. And then I heard, like, a groaning. And I was like, what's over there? And I walk over, and it's a guy with an axe lodged in his head. Ooh. It's a Viking. And all the quest is like, I can tell him that he has an axe in his head, or I could just tell him it's a cut and he needs to move along. And like, that's the whole quest. So like, you get those like whimsical quests for sure. And then you get like, I'm wandering around and all of a sudden I'm in a bandit camp, and there's a piece of gear that's like right in the middle there, and I need to sneak my way in. But for the most part, everything's pretty solid until we get to the stealth, which is ironic because it's Assassin's Creed. And that's where it kind of falls apart. Stealth, the AI are dumb. And flimsy as well. Like, they see me through walls and stuff. The hawk vision is not good in this game. It's a major step back. So if you're looking for that stealth element, it's there. It's not. It just kind of feels half baked, which I'm just not digging. So that's my thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Again, I think it's good. I just don't think it's at Odyssey level. I think Odyssey.
Can I ask you two more quick questions about Valhalla?
Go for it.
The first like major gameplay thing, they showed off like phantasmal battles with like otherworldly figures and
I've not gotten there yet.
You haven't gotten there yet. Okay.
No.
And second, another big intrigue for me is the settlement building. Have you gotten to do a bunch of that? Is that deep? Is that just surface level, or?
It's so that was the one thing I was very much worried about. Was like, am I going to play sim builder? Like, is this going to get into like Fallout 4 territory? Because I don't want that. Fortunately enough, it just feels like I'm building a hub world, like a Destiny world.
Oh, okay.
And that gives me special quests. That gives me like armory, so that I could like upgrade Eivor, or like a shipyard that I could customize my ship. So it's there if I want. I don't feel like I necessarily need to do all the things, but what's there is really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So again, I think Valhalla is great. I think if for if you're interested in it, I do recommend it. I just don't think it's at Odyssey level of greatness. I do think there's a couple of step backs that they make there.
That's fair.
That I hope they change in future iterations.
Yeah.
Also, the one cool thing though, and then we'll get into Bugsnax real quick because we're at the 20-minute mark. There's actual assassins in here. The Brotherhood's here, so we're actually gonna see Assassin's Creed in here. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
We got to actually see the Brotherhood in here, unlike Odyssey. So that's a one big plus, because I know a lot of people are like, dude, Odyssey was just like, let's put Assassin's Creed in the title. There's like nothing really a hard connection there, you know? Here there is that hard connection, and you're seeing how Viking civilization differs from the Brotherhood's order and code, which is really unique. That said, we played a little game called Bugsnax.
Let's talk about it, Joe. Finally.
Just brief impressions, because we only played less than an hour of this game.
So that's the thing I want to say first and foremost is I wish I had more time to sink into it.
Yeah.
Like I said at the top of the show, I was in a lot of pain. I didn't feel like playing anything yesterday. So yeah, around an hour, and it is as charming and as whimsical as I was hoping for. The one thing that really caught me off guard, and again, very early on, I'm already like deeply invested in some of these characters.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to Filbo, I feel for Filbo. I just want to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
And for a game to do that quickly, in a span of under an hour, for me to already care about a character that I've 5 minutes tops of dialogue of interaction between him is crazy good. Yeah. And of course the Bugsnax themselves are cute, and I can already tell that trying to catch them and use different strategies for that is going to be deep. There's going to be, because I don't think you're going to be able to do the same trick twice for like a different kind of Bugsnax.
And pretty much what Bugsnax is, for anybody that don't know, this game is pretty much Pokemon Snap, where you're trying to find these critters in the wild where they're half bug, half snack, and you're trying to figure out their patterns and then lay traps to catch them to feed to the villagers. That's what I've gotten so far. And solve puzzles with them as well. So, like, there's one that's a Bunger, which is like half burger, half like
curly fries.
Curly fry. And like you have to use it to ram into objects to like scare other Bugsnax to catch them, that type of stuff.
And you lure them with ketchup.
Yep, because they love it.
To do that. It's really, really cool.
It's a really wholesome game, and I think what you hit to with the short time I played it, I'm already invested in these characters. And it's just a cute little wholesome story where the voice acting in this game, there's people from all the industry in here somehow. Absolutely. And they all play a really good role, and they're all pretty grounded within the reality is this game. Mm-hmm. So I'm really digging it. I'm going to keep on playing it.
For sure.
Hopefully on Thursday we see the PlayStation 5 version of it, and it's Bugsnax glory. But that's how much I've gotten to.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprisingly liking it.
Shout out to Pop Agenda as well for giving us early codes for this.
Absolutely. And proving me wrong.
I'm so freaking grateful. You have no idea. I've been making sure to say Bugsnax on every episode since we saw it being revealed. That's how excited I am for it. I can't believe it's here. I can't believe PS5 is here. Video games are awesome. We're in a good place. We're in a
great place. And you know what? That was the longest ever what you've been playing in a really long time. It felt great. But you know what? Before we start squaring up the news, it's time for the Patreon pitch. I want to thank everybody who just donated over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Of course, as we say every week, if we've gotten you through a rough workday, a long car ride home, or this whole COVID situation, it would mean a great deal if you head on over to patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Toss a buck our way. It's the reason why we sound so good, we look so great, and because we're able to do so many awesome, more creative things. It's all because of your generosity. So with that, Kyle, I'd like to thank our Platinum members at Twerp and Todd Burwitz. I'd like to thank our Gold members, Chaotic Monkey, Gavin Godfrey, Griffin West, Erica Scherer, Jose Jimenez, and Tu Sood. I'd like to thank our Silver Plus members, Hide Indoors, Pink Orc, Marcus O'Neill, Ray Martinez, JB the Purple Monkey, Jadis Von Metal, Tim Olf, and the Winter Gamer. Thank you all so much for being so generous in the month of November. And yeah, this week we're doing a ton of videos and content for you guys this week. It's all because of your amazing patronage over at patreon.com/PSTrophyroom. But with that said, Kyle, with that all out of the way, let's square up the news.
First little piece of news comes from Wesley LeBlanc over at IGN. PS5's Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered will now support saves from Spider-Man PS4. Insomniac Games confirmed that the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man Remastered on PS5 will now support your save data from Marvel Spider-Man on PS4. This change was made in response to fan criticism that none of the original progress would carry over into the updated version. Insomniac confirmed this news on Twitter, stating, quote, "We have heard you. In an upcoming update for Spider-Man PS4, we will add the ability to export your save to Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. This update will also add the 3 new suits from Remastered to the PS4 game. We expect to bring you this update around Thanksgiving." End quote.
So, Kyle, here's a question. So, in the beginning, the whole controversy was, this remaster, first off, is it even worth it? Why isn't it free? Because everything else is backwards compatible. Like, why is it? What's the reasoning? It can't just be because you got a new face actor for Peter. Now seeing that the remaster is going to at least support save data, right? My first question is, are trophies going to carry over? Am I going to get that platinum for this
immediately?
Game?
I hope not.
You don't want trophies to carry over?
No, I don't. And because there is they've stated that it's a new trophy list.
I think they said that they added 5 new trophies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, that'd be great, but I do want to experience it all over again from the beginning.
Right.
So I personally will not be carrying my save over. I want to start fresh and do something brand new with it. But this is cool. This is cool for people that wanted to carry over from PS4 and maybe never finished it and want to finish it on this new one. That's totally good for you. I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I honestly I do hope the trophy list does carry over because that's my hard work. I'd like to see it carry on into this game, but it is interesting to see Insomniac listen to us, thank goodness. But you saw like people like Ben Studios, people like Sucker Punch going, "Oh hey gang, hi, all your save data is carrying over." You saw game after game say that, and it kind of like the question mark got bigger of like, Insomniac, why aren't you doing this? Mm-hmm. Is it just an excuse to sell this remaster? And so to see them say, no, here it is, your save data is going to carry on, because my biggest issue with the remaster's save data was not being able to use the suits. All I want to do is use the suits that I want. Like, I want the Into the Spider-Verse Peter Parker ASAP. You know what I mean? Like, I want the comic book Spider-Man. That's the one I usually would play with. But then in cutscenes, I'd switch back to the advanced suit. Like, that's what I want. So that's the most important thing to me. And that's why, to me, I'm like, this is really good news. Really good news. That also, I want to know, and this is just between you, me, and the audience here. Yeah. I know you can't hear this. It's not bleeding through the mic. Mm-hmm. And I'm now really appreciating that we record this at night, because I want to know what my goddamn neighbors are talking about across the street and why it's so important. And why they're saying it's so loud. That's what I'm interested in. They're literally having a full-blown conversation.
Maybe you should stick your mic out the window and have a podcast within a podcast.
Now they know. Now they know. I'm recording a podcast in here. So, with that, Spider-Man.
You should open your window and say, "Hey, excuse me, what do you think about PS4 saves from Spider-Man transferring over to PS5?
And then I could just bring my mic out there. Yep. Just hang it out the window.
Yeah. Oh, what? You don't want to say anything now? Then shut the fuck up. Let's keep going.
We're making a show here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Kyle.
Yeah.
There's actually a really cool story that popped up just yesterday. I can't wait to talk to you about.
Is it this next thing on Square Up the News? Because I turned on my PS4 today. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This next story comes from Jenny Zhang over at GameSpot. PS5 games can be streamed through PS4 with Remote Play. Sony has updated the Remote Play feature by giving players the option of using the PS4 console to stream PS5 games. Remote Play also allows you to access the PS5 from not only the PS4, but other devices like PC or a mobile device. Sony's FAQ didn't mention PS Vita, so it remains to be seen if you can also connect to the PS5 using Sony's handheld device. The ability to stream PS5 games using the PS4 consoles could be useful, depending on the setup. If you own both generations of consoles, the PS4 could go in one place, the PS5 in another, and you could access PS5 games anytime from the PS4 using Remote Play. But considering that a lot of PS4 games will be backwards compatible on PS5, so you could just play both PS4 and PS5 games on the PS5, this new Remote Play feature between PS4 and PS5 might be underutilized. Sony also added support for 3 additional players in Remote Play sessions, increasing the possibility of local multiplayer sessions. With these new additions, it's apparent that Sony will continue to push the Remote Play feature and encourage players to utilize it.
So this is a really awesome feature, right? Remote Play, first and foremost, I think it's also an underappreciated thing that we have right here, right now, because, earlier this year, we got the Remote Play app. I think it was earlier this year or early last year, I forgot. But 2020, it's been a blur. But we got the Remote Play app, and it actually works pretty damn well. Like, I used it quite a bit early in this year. I think I was testing it out with, Last of Us and I believe Spider-Man as well, and having a pretty good time. Like, via Wi-Fi, it worked in the same room. Now, I don't know necessarily if it's going to work, great, in the house, like, where the range is going to be. But, this is a really cool opportunity. It actually makes me go, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to sell my PlayStation 4. Maybe I put this in the living room. And then when I'm down there, I can actually play my PlayStation 5 or Remote Play it onto my PlayStation 4 and enjoy my games there. I think this is a really awesome thing. So then it then could say, you know what? I don't have to buy 2 PS5s. I can just have my PS5 as the hub and kind of everything connecting around it, because you're having more than one user connect to it, which I think is really awesome. So I really dig this, man. What are your thoughts on the Remote Play? What was your immediate reaction when you saw it on your PlayStation 4?
I was like, what happened? Why am I able to play PS5 games right now? Is that what this is? I think it's cool. I always thought Remote Play was a really cool feature for PlayStation to have. Yeah. Working at GameStop, I used to always push Vitas to be like, hey, do you like what this Wii U thing can do, where you can play everything on this giant-ass tablet and still watch something on the TV if you have someone else that doesn't want to watch you play a game? The Vita can do the same thing. It was obviously limited as it went on. Like, I remember trying to play Spider-Man on the Vita, and it did not run well at all. Yeah. I think this will be a little bit more serviceable when it comes to playing PS5 games on your PS4 via Remote Play. I also think this is a last-ditch effort from PlayStation. We're like, hey, don't trade in your old console. Really? Just keep holding on. Not like that's a bad thing, but that's just like, hey, you don't have to go to a GameStop or your local video game place and trade this in for store credit. Right. Like, hold on to it. It's still useful. It's fine. It's not going to sway me. I'm still trading mine in just so I can afford the PS5 and everything, but it's still very, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's pretty damn cool as well. And I can't wait to try it out firsthand, because I know Xbox just got their version of Remote Play as well, and it works pretty good. And I'm not looking for like a 1-to-1 or anything. I'm just kind of still a little bummed that I can't use my DualSense on my PlayStation 4, because I would love to have that Remote Play feature and then still get the haptic feedback on the DualSense. It just makes sense. And the thing that's so weird to me is we've seen multiple people online use the DualSense on their PlayStation 3, on their Nintendo Switch, using Bluetooth. Like, it makes no sense why this thing can't be connected to a PlayStation 4. It's just such a damn shame.
Can I tell you the more exciting thing about this?
Go for it. Yeah.
The fact that it's going to seemingly do Remote Play on PC. So that way, when we do have PS5s in our house, in our households, in our rooms,
Yeah.
I don't have to move it from there and find space over here on the desk.
Gotcha.
Like if I want to play something here for like a stream or something, I don't know how well it will work.
Hold up, but yeah.
But still, there's that option for me to leave it where it needs to be and not have to worry about making space in already a limited area on my desk to make content some way with it.
I feel like it's only, before we get into the next story, it is only appropriate that I update the audience on the noise outside.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I got the et tu brute moment. It is my neighbors talking outside directly in front of my house.
Yeah.
But who are they talking to? My mother.
No.
Who's being the very loud Puerto Rican mother outside? That's my mother. I knew I could hear that shrilly voice from anywhere. My spidey sense tingled, and man, am I just disappointed, you know?
Oh, that's
She knows what we're doing here. She
That's
knows.
great.
Kyle, let's get into another bit of news on the list. Here, this one actually gives me a little bit of optimism because last week we had some issues. We had some words to say about this. So go for it.
This comes from Zarmina Khan over at PS Lifestyle. Sony is exploring the option to allow PS5 game saves to be backed up to USB drives. Last Saturday, we reported that the PlayStation 5 currently doesn't allow players to transfer their save data onto a USB drive. The only way for players to back up their save files is to pay for PlayStation Plus, which gives subscribers access to Sony's cloud storage service. This is particularly disappointing for folks who don't use PS Plus otherwise, as the ability to back up saves has been paywalled. However, it looks like Sony is exploring the option to allow players to back up their data onto a USB. In a new FAQ published on the PlayStation blog, Senior Communications Director Sid Schumann wrote, quote, "Players cannot transfer PS5 games to a USB drive. PS5 games must be stored on the console's internal ultra-high-speed SSD for gameplay. Explorations for allowing players to store, but not play, PS5 games on a USB drive in a future update are underway." End quote. You can, however, store and play PS4 games from a compatible USB drive connected to PS5. For more details, keep reading. Sony also reiterated that players will be able to expand PS5 storage with compatible M.2 SSD drives in the future. The company suggested holding off on buying any drives available in the market that are advertised as intended for use with the PS5.
So this is a pretty optimistic, update on the storage situation with the PlayStation 5, because I actually do think it's a bit of a situation, right? We're having, 600, less than 700 gigs, 667 gigs on that console when we get it. And the fact that, we can't store our PlayStation 5 games on a normal, external, it would have helped us a great deal. Because then we could kind of just switch on and off what games we kind of wanted and move them around accordingly so that you don't have to rely on your bandwidth to carry all that weight. And God forbid, and I know there's a lot of folks out there that deal with data caps, which shouldn't even exist in the first place, but they do. And, I saw, I think Patrick Klepek, I believe, he was just downloading 190 gigs of Call of Duty. That is a fifth of his his data cap. That's just, it's
ridiculous.
And I think it kind of when we take a look at Stadia, when we were bashing them over the head, what is it, a year or two ago, about how our data cap's going to do this, is why console's so much better, blah, 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 streaming, blah, blah, blah. Now we're kind of taking a look at it going, oh, wait, we're kind of in the same boat now. Especially if you're in a data capped place. So it's cool that Sid is just okay, we're coming out, we have the solution. It's not here yet, but it's coming. When you hear this news, are you optimistic? Is this a few months, or do you think that this is within the year? What do you think?
Probably within a few months, okay. I would imagine. I don't think it'll come out before they give the compatible SSD drive update.
Yeah.
Just because that just, to me, that seems like a way for them to not push something that will make other people money. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a conflicted interest there. But yeah, I think within a few months, I think it's well needed. Another reason to buy physical, just saying. Just
Oh,
saying.
suck it. Suck it,
Just
Kyle.
saying.
I'm in this digital future. Have I had doubts about it? Yes. Have I been like, oh man, there's actually that Walmart thing, but I promised Ray? Yes, absolutely I have. Yes. But you know what? I'm doubling my ground here. Listen, they're standing my ground here, doubling it, Jesus. I'm standing my ground. I'm gonna get the digital console. I think it looks better. I can't wait to unbox it. And yeah, I am tired of discs. I'm still doubling down. I don't care. I don't care. It can't change my mind, though I've been kind of changing it. I'm kind of sort of, because then I see, like, okay, so I'm at the point where I'm like, I see this Target buy two, get one free deal. I'm like, can't do that anymore. But then Logical Joe steps in and he's just like, but Joe, how many times have you used that sale and then actually never play the third game? And I'm like, almost always. And you're like, yes, Joseph, you made the right choice. You don't need a disc drive. When am I watching a Blu-ray movie? Not since 2009, I'm not. So, like, I'm good.
That blows my mind. As a man with over 1,000 Blu-rays over there on that wall, that blows my mind.
What blows my mind even more, Kyle,
is that I have 1,000 Blu-rays? Yeah, I know. It's a little excessive.
No, is that we've been recording this podcast for a little over 40 minutes, and my mom, what are they doing out there? Are they having a podcast of their own? Who knows? That's the thing that's really just absolutely blowing my mind right now. But yeah, so that said, I'm excited that there's going to be a solution out there, hopefully soon. Sony had this, again, a huge FAQ, but it was mostly information that we already knew. The one interesting thing is that DualSense controller colors are coming soon.
Ooh.
What are the three colors you'd like to see?
Orange.
Okay.
A blue.
Okay.
And a black.
Yes. Okay, I'll deal with that. Usually they do camo first. Please stop with the camo.
I know. Stop with it. Stop making camo a thing.
Please. You're trying to go for a premium product, okay? This is not a Dick's Sporting Goods. This is a gaming podcast.
Exactly.
Just please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
I would love I think a black controller and it having like matted black and then maybe a glossy black in the middle. Ooh, dual tone. And like blue would be like a light-ish blue along the sides, and then like
I wanted to match the light when the PS5's on.
Yes.
That blue.
Oh God, weird.
And orange is just my color.
It's because you're Mets.
So just selfishly, I would love an orange one. It's not gonna happen.
I
think gold comes before orange, to be totally honest.
I think either gold, and then like they'll have also an obnoxious name for black. It won't just be. It'll be like onyx.
Yeah.
And I think a red one would be nice. A red one would be dope.
Yeah.
Should have been a Miles controller. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Kyle?
Joe?
We get to this part of the podcast here where it's kind of more free-formed because this is the last week we're going to have our PlayStation 4s. And sure, there'll be future PlayStation 4s games to come, like Horizon Zero Dawn to look forward to second half of 2021, supposedly. But for us, this is us saying goodbye to PlayStation 4 and going, mainline into the PlayStation 5. So I kind of just wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite memories? And we'll kind of go back and forth when it comes to memories with your PlayStation 4.
Man, there really is a lot. PlayStation 4 being the first console I paid for by myself is still pretty cool. Working that opening night at GameStop and just being jealous as these people get to leave with it before I do. Meaning they got an hour or two a head start to playing before me. Just like being blown away by turning it on for the first time and seeing what an upgrade the UI was from PS3 and, downloading Resogun and falling in love with that. There really is so many. And I could spend the next hour just listing games. Because they're like the PS4, what a behemoth. PS4 and Xbox One Generation 2, because there's a lot of these are third-party stuff. But, what a generation for games, man.
It really
banger
was.
After banger. There's never really been a year where I look back since PS4 come out and be like, man, there were really no good games that came out that year.
Yeah.
There's always been one stellar, phenomenal 10 out of 10 game, I feel like.
Like a Bloodborne. You could just say like a Bloodborne.
Like a Control. That comes out every single year.
Oof. Hit me like that. No, for me, actually, yeah, let's start at like the launch. I remember, coming off being so burnt by Xbox, right? Because a lot of people don't know, I host a PlayStation show. I was a big Xbox guy for a very long time. And it wasn't until later that generation.
But yet you were chosen. Come on.
But yet
now.
I was chosen because
Come on.
Because Ryan, listen, Jim Ryan knows what's in my heart, Kyle. He knows what's in my soul. He's peered through it. He says, "This boy's a good boy. He's just a cute baby boy."
What are you trying to say about me?
I'm saying you're a piece of shit.
Breaking news: the trophy room breaks up on the eve of PlayStation 5.
But like, I remember being so burnt by the Xbox, and then going PS3 and PC with my setup. Right, that was going to be my thing because I played The Last of Us and I absolutely adored The Last of Us. And I'm like, okay, this will be my exclusive machine. The PC will be my thing. And shortly afterwards, I was no IT tech, so I had to get the hell out of there, right, out of the PC gaming. So at the launch of the PlayStation 4, that's where kind of everything changed for me. I remember getting the PlayStation 4 at GameStop at midnight, and this was like when everybody was on the FU Xbox bandwagon because of all the DRM and all the nonsense in there. So you kind of felt like this sense of camaraderie with everybody at that GameStop, like kind of like pumping each other up. For me, I loved my experience. I think my first game I played on it was Battlefield 4. And I was like, holy crap, everything looks great. Like, I remember going through the concrete corridors and going, oh my God, like the detail of the concrete, of the walls, of the fire, of like the shadows. It just blew my mind. And I remember the lull. That's another thing. Like, as much as I love Resogun, indies were not the thing that carried it for me on PlayStation 4. I remember the first year being really disappointed.
Yeah,
like,
it did. It took a while to go. Like, your experience with Battlefield 4 was mine with like Killzone.
Yeah.
Where like I booted that up, I was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful. This is how good games can get." Not knowing, in a matter of 5 years, it just blows that out of the water. Mm-hmm. Like I a couple of months ago, I think on one of the episodes of the show, I was like, "Oh yeah, I tried to go back and play Black Flag because like I never finished it."
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, what a difference the games have gotten. Assassin's Creed games and just games in general from Black Flag at launch of PS4 to now, like it's insane.
And I think like that was the one game that carried it for me as like the PlayStation guy for the first half of 2014. It was Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I remember taking pictures of that game nonstop because the world just at the time it was so drop dead gorgeous. But then I also remember empty promises of that year. Like Titanfall, I remember that one. I remember like because I'm still a PC boy at this point, or like it's dying out. But like I remember playing that and going, "Oh, this game's really good." And then like a month later, it dying out. I remember.
Well,
Watch
that wasn't
Dogs.
on PlayStation.
That wasn't on PlayStation. I'm going like the disappointment train now. Remember, Watch Dogs was supposed to be this big thing. I remember like the 4 times it was shown. Like that's when I think we started to do the side by side comparisons of how a game looks when it was promised, and then the game looks when it's actually out. I think that was really the first game that really did that. And when that game came out, man, it was just disappointing. But the one game that I loved, that is flawed, for sure, is Destiny. Destiny was my muse for a very long time, until I got to Bloodborne, and that is really where I had the come to Jesus moment. I was just like, PlayStation is it. This is my home. This is where I'll lay my head at night. Like, Bloodborne is the game that changed everything for me of what I'm looking for in a game, what I'm looking for in an experience. It changed. Like, I used to be like, if it ain't a first person shooter, I ain't touching it. And now I'm like, let me get my hands on literally anything I can just get my hands on, because I want to experience that, because Bloodborne was that game that was so transformative for me. Is there an experience or like a memory with you, like of a transformative moment in PlayStation where you're just like, Oh yeah, this changes things for me.
See, that's hard for me because I've always loved PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I've been ingrained in the system since PS1.
So how, as a person that's been ingrained since PS1 onto the PlayStation 4, how was that feeling? Was it kind of like, because I remember as a kid always hearing like, PlayStation 2 greatest lineup of all time, like greatest catalog of all time. Like, where does the PlayStation 4 rank that to you?
Oh yeah. Wow.
I know. I'm asking the
big
deep questions. I'm asking
Yeah.
deep questions here.
I think it for sure is up there when
Okay.
it comes to game libraries. For me, PS2, I feel like I played more RPGs on there, and I love me an RPG than I did on PS4. So that I might give a slight edge, a very slight edge to PS2 at that time. But looking back at PS4 and just how many games have shaped not just me as a gamer, but me as a person, and how much I think of how many of these games I think of daily, like Horizon, a Last of Us Part 2, a Uncharted 4, a Uncharted Lost Legacy, Infamous Second Son. Not so much daily on that one, but still shout out to Infamous for being the first huge exclusive, even though it was a couple months late.
Right.
Yeah, there's just so many games from the world of PlayStation 4 that are just home runs.
Yeah.
And like they killed it. PlayStation Studios killed it in the PS4 era. It's nuts.
I want to read one memory. This comes from Lethal in the Constantly a Bad Bit Discord server, now the Trophy Room Discord server. Bloodborne was a big one for me. There you go, Lethal. I remember looking at the trailers and the gameplay for it and thinking that the game was unfathomably difficult, yet beautiful and mischievous. So I went ahead and gave it a shot. The world is unlike any other. The fear of the unknown and the next lamp is maybe one of the greatest feelings in gaming, along with beating a boss and finding that shortcut. These Souls games never fail to disappoint when it comes to instilling that uncertainty into you after you move on to the next area. You go from victor of the last boss, feeling like you're on top of the world, back to lost and scared and a scared soul, not knowing the monstrosity of a boss you are to face next. It even if you even make it there. I bought all the Dark Souls games shortly after my first playing through Bloodborne, and it was like switching back and forth between Sekiro. Bloodborne more or less got me into the Souls games, and looking back at this PlayStation 4 generation, I'm very proud to say that I have platinum trophies for all three damn Dark Souls games, Sekiro and Bloodborne. Now for Demon Souls. Lethal, what a great comment.
It's awesome.
That is literally how I feel about Bloodborne. And like, real talk, I know we're gonna like beat a dead horse from the conversation we had last week. That's what I kind of feel about the difficulty. Like, that's what makes the allure of Bloodborne so great. Is like you just it's like you climbed up the mountaintop, right? You just beat Father Gascoigne. Nothing could get you down, and then you go to the plague-starved beast, and then it beats the shit out of you, and you're just like, whoa, back to step one. What's going on here? And then you kind of realize to yourself, oh wait, I need to wear Father Gascoigne's armor because it's poison resistant. Then you're able to kind of fight them and get your bearings. It's that type of challenge that I love out of Bloodborne. And you're right, like Lethal, I'm not as passionate because like I played through Dark Souls 3 and I thought it was great. I couldn't go through 2. I don't know why I stopped with the remaster, because I thought it was really solid. But like, for me, I love the Souls games, but I'm nowhere, or the Soulsborne genre, but like I'm nowhere near, the Lethal level. And I love that. It really gave me an appreciation of, games that are difficult, but like not so much difficult as they are challenging you as a gamer to learn and adapt. That was my one big thing. My other comment comes from Mr. Mitch George. The tears of joy I got through playing Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 will be my most lasting memory. That and all the friends I've made this generation. I'm normally not a social dude, but this generation, a switch flipped in me. I'm glad I found this community and many others over the course of this generation.
Oh yeah, Mitch.
That's another one. Like, this generation has been so interconnected, you know? It's just been something really special. Is there another memory? Because you talked about Uncharted. Actually, you just platinumed it.
Yeah.
You know, so like we went through 2014, it being kind of a dull year. We get to 2015, we got Bloodborne, greatest game ever made. Then we get to 2016. What's that like for you as a gamer, as a PlayStation gamer?
Oh man, exciting, proud, really awesome seeing that. Because I believe 2016 was it 16 or 15, the first year of PSX.
I think it was the first year.
So yeah, so like knowing that, actually I think 2015 might have been it.
Might have been
Anyway.
it. Okay, that's my apologies.
But just seeing how PlayStation is recognizing the history that it's had and celebrating it, and really giving us a reason to stay loyal, a reason to show that our years of gaming in this one ecosystem is like paying off. It's to sort of make a probably not great analogy to professional wrestling. My favorite thing in professional wrestling is when long-term storylines pay off and they don't abandon them. And PlayStation, I feel for the most part, does a really good job at staying up to date with those storylines and paying them off when it comes to subsequent sequels of games for like Uncharted, Last of Us Part 2. Just giving us more things to love about these franchises and these characters, which I think is where PlayStation excels. Yeah. Is it gives us a wide range of characters that we fall in love with. And when we see them and we hear about them, we think about PlayStation. And that's one of the strongest things PlayStation has done.
With Nathan Drake, I think when you're talking about things that pay off, like as a guy, like I remember playing Uncharted 2, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I remember watching my brother play through Uncharted 3. It was just like we just sat down and we're just like, let's just commit a day or two to this, a nice little weekend, and then seeing all that pay off with 4. Like 4 isn't my favorite Uncharted, but it is definitely up there for me of like the payoff. If you were into this story, this had the perfect arc. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knowing what Nate and Elena have gone through in the first 3 games, and then you get to 4, and just seeing them. It's an old game. We can spoil it, right? It's been out for a while, or maybe not. Sure. Well, maybe not, because it's part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
You're right. Yeah.
So, like, just seeing how that relationship has grown up.
Yeah.
And again, it feels like we've been along that ride with them their entire relationship. And to have it pay off in a certain way, that's why I cried at the end of Uncharted 4 the first time I played it. I was so happy.
I think when we also talk about interconnectivity with the PlayStation 4, to hop back on Mitch's point, I think of Overwatch. Overwatch blew my mind because, again, it was kind of like when I saw Bungie's logo on a PlayStation, I lost my shit as a big Bungie nut. Seeing Blizzard, a company that I loved and respected, and now look at how that's gone. But, like, seeing that logo hit on a PlayStation gave me the similar feels. And that gave me hours upon hours of joy with so many of my friends. And that was a game that was my game of the year that year. I liked it better than Uncharted. I'll say it. I'll say it right here, right now. And like even Mr. Nasty Boots saying, playing Overwatch and Doom with me and Mr. Badbit, and Mr. Nasty Boots. I'm sorry, it's Mrs. Nasty Boots. When we used to do our 3-way Friday night date nights. Jesus Christ, Mr. Nasty Boots. Yeah, like that was always a fun time. Like being able to connect with y'all and having fun, you know, whether it's Overwatch, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. That year in itself was so gosh dang good. Josh Milley writes in, I've been playing games since the NES. That's how you're supposed to say it. It's not NES. Let's get over it. All right, let's jump through that hurdle.
Amen.
Yet one of my favorite things came on the PlayStation 4. It's not a specific game, though there are some that go along with it. Mega Man Legacy Collection, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Marvel Spider-Man, for instance. My favorite thing from the PlayStation 4 is seeing my two kids, oh shit, you're gonna hit me in the feels, ages 8 and 4, learning to play and loving games. Seeing their joy makes me happy and brings back my old memories when I was playing as a kid. Playing games and being invested in those world and challenges. Dude, that's the other thing. Games have grown up with us, Kyle.
Yeah.
Like you got these two little nieces, right? They cause mayhem every now and again.
There's 3 of them, but that's fine.
Well, I said nieces, right?
You said two of the nieces. The other one doesn't count.
Yeah, no, the other one doesn't count. The other one just hangs around. But like, you got these 2.5 nieces. They're running around. Mm-hmm. What is that feeling when you're taking it back and you're going, oh shit. Like, they're playing a video game right now. Like, I remember them playing Vacation Simulator. Yeah. And you're just sitting back watching. Yeah. What's that kind of feeling for you?
The sense of joy that fills you up inside watching kids that you love, that are family, and enjoy the things you do, and not in a forced to enjoy it kind of way. They're actually, like, experiencing it and loving it for themselves. It makes me so happy. Like just before when we were playing Bugsnax, I was like, oh, you girls might want to come watch this because I feel like you'll really enjoy this. And every time I came across a new Bugsnax, they're like, oh, that's a cheeseburger and fries. That's an olive flying in the sky. This is so cool. And just to see them engaging with something that I'm passionate about makes me super happy.
Yeah. Gavs Godey writes, I know some people don't like it, but to me, this generation brought forth tons of remasters and remakes, and I loved it. I've said before, backwards compatibility isn't huge for me because I still own all the old consoles, but seeing games I love being brought back to life is truly breathtaking. Standouts to me, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Spyro, Crash Trilogy Remake, Tony Hawk Remake, Shadow of the Colossus Remake. A lot of those games there hold a big special place in your heart.
Now Mass Effect Trilogy next March.
There you go. It's coming.
Hell yeah.
What say you here? Because like when I see Crash, when I see Spyro, when I think Tony Hawk, I am thinking of you, buddy. So what do you feel about all the damn remakes during your time with the PlayStation 4? Did it enhance your nostalgia?
So happy. It enhanced it and made it even better. Because they did every single one for the most part. I can't right now think of one off the top of my head that didn't do its job of making it feel like it felt when I played it when I was younger.
Yeah.
So like Onimusha Warlords is another one that I think was fantastic. Just thinking about Final Fantasy VII Remake and it actually coming out and me actually getting to play it brings tears to the front of my eyes just because I can't believe it's real. And it was a thing, and I lived long enough to play it. Yeah. Remakes and remasters are so key for me, and there's still so many more that I hope we get eventually. Yeah. This is now another generation removed from some of the older games, so
to me, let's
keep it going.
One of the biggest remakes, I think, for me, just one that pops in my head, is actually Resident Evil 2 remake. Yeah. As someone who wasn't allowed to have that as a kid, and having it play, and like now I get it. I'm like, dude, this game is one of the best survival horror games I've ever.
Not played. Even that, but like reviving Resident Evil came within this generation with 7.
Yeah,
just like the 6 was so bad, from what I've heard, that they went to the drawing board and made something that really just breathed new life into Resident Evil, a iconic and necessary game franchise.
Yeah.
Today, like we need that franchise to be good.
Absolutely. Purple Monkey writes in, well, if I had to share mine, which you are, Purple Monkey, that's what you're doing right now, it would be when the community decided to pitch in and get me a PlayStation 4 so I could play Kingdom Hearts 3 when it dropped. And I got to play Spider-Man. I appreciate the hell out of everyone that contributed too. Grateful to have the people I have in my life. Purple Monkey, that man's a brother to me. Thank you. I love you,
that's amazing.
Man. Of course, of course. Jadis von Metal writes in, getting an open world style Metal Gear Solid was huge for me. I had a blast with it. Plus, having Metal Gear Solid 2 permanently affixed to my arm kinda obligates me to make damn sure I'm a fan. Death Stranding was also phenomenal. Hideo Kojima is a personal hero. It was a great game, man. What a weird trip that was this generation.
Right?
Of like Andy House over there in his house. I know what his living room looks like. And he's just like, first of all, I think he's like speaking Japanese. So that threw me through a hoop because I'm like, here's this British guy. I've never heard like a British person speak Japanese. It was like, it's really weird. I don't know. Like it sounded so different to me. And so like, then you're seeing him like shake Hideo Kojima's hand and like having this weird journey where like the E3 afterwards, we get this trailer already. We're like, what the hell is this game? He's holding a baby with whales up there. What's going on? And then having Death Stranding be what it is, that was a special game, man.
So kind of going off of that, and yes, Death Stranding is amazing. I am getting that itch to go back to it.
Yeah.
To get that platinum eventually. But PS4 and this generation really started Sony crushing the E3 stage and setting the bar continuously of making sure
he's walking down the fucking floating staircase,
right?
you're like,
but not even then, but like before that, when PS4 before it was released at E3, where they give the price point, they do the game sharing thing.
Yeah,
that set the bar here, and ever since then, it's become Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo at certain degrees, but in a different way, just trying to one up each other.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get as many bombshells, as many of oh shit kind of hype moments in a presentation, and that's something that is sorely missed.
Yeah,
even this year without an E3, I think it was almost to that level, but there's nothing more satisfying than watching E3 presentation for Sony with PlayStation fans in the room cheering for something being made. Like when Adam Boyes showcased Final Fantasy VII Remake and announcing that, oh my god. I was in the theater when that happened.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing Sony did. Like you can go to a movie theater and watch it among PlayStation fans. Like, God, I miss that so freaking much.
I know, man. I know, 2020, what a year. Marcus O'Neill though writes in, it's probably because I'm old and my memory is going.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. But my favorite PlayStation 4 memories are from this year. The first from Red Dead Redemption 2. My God. I didn't play it until this year, and there is a trophy you can get for visiting the grave sites of all the characters that died during the story. Oh, I did not know that. That's cool. Beyond just getting the trophy, I felt I owed it to the characters to pay my respects. The second is The Last of Us Part 2. I was totally engrossed in the story throughout, but the flashback cutscenes with Joel and Ellie left me absolutely gutted. I am not alone in the We can't record during the morning or during the afternoon. This has been a disaster today. This absolutely makes me furious. Could you write 41?
41?
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I feel like today's just been a mess, and it's all my fault.
You're good. It's not your fault.
I'm not the only one who typically gets emotional ever. Sorry. Let me have a long break so that I know where to break. I'm not one who typically gets emotional ever, which is another issue altogether. But these games really got their hooks in me and reinforce how powerful games can be. A blue heart. Yeah, I'm kind of stoic as well. Like, I'm all about, like, listen, you see something beautiful, cry your goddamn eyes out, you know? Like, you bawl, have a time with it. But, like, to me, like, yeah, it's those moments, it's those powerful moments that PlayStation have provided with all of their games. One of them being, for me, Horizon Zero Dawn. That ending had me like, I'm going to go to my mother and give her the biggest hug and tell her how much I love her. And yeah, like that is for me one of my biggest things was like how Sony's stories, their first party stories, oftentimes hit that emotional chord with you, have grown up alongside you. We talk a lot about growing up, and I feel like the Sony first parties definitely have in that regard. And I remember walking away after Horizon going, I need to make a PlayStation podcast. This is it. This is the thing that cements it. And that game's starting this journey that we're on today. Yeah. You know? That's the power of PlayStation to me.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I am the opposite. I cry at every second if I could. I'm always holding back tears, it feels like. And just thinking of this year of Final Fantasy VII Remake, bawling my eyes out. Not only that it's real, but certain things that happened in that game.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2, I had a list of like 30 times I cried in Last of Us Part 2. Just
every 3 minutes.
Drained everything out of me, but I'm so happy about it. But a game that we haven't mentioned yet, looking back on PlayStation 4, which boggles my mind.
What was that?
God of War.
Well, Hida, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, that dragon fight, Hida writes in via PS Trophy Room on Twitch, Twitter. That dragon fight in God of War is one I'll remember for a very long time. Very epic. And getting the platinum on Bloodborne. Yeah, let's talk about God of War for a second. And
of course, but again, talking about emotions.
Yeah.
Going through that game, the way that game starts, the way that game in the middle gets super deep, and then at the end, it hits you with it the same, like, tears. Just... PlayStation Studios, second to none. I mean, magicians. That's all. I don't know how they do it, but they continuously do it. It's crazy.
And again, growing with us, like Corey Barlog going, you know what? I want to make God of War, but I've had a kid. I've met the love of my life since then. I want to make a story about that, and revolving around this character that has been like, taking a character that's like renowned, at least as when I was an Xbox kid. Being like, oh, that's with a sex mini game where you're banging like 2 broads or whatever, you know, that's me. I'm a kid. Ooh, it's cool.
It's just angry Kratos killing everybody for revenge. No dimension whatsoever.
And then going, no, I'm a father, and I fell in love with a woman and had a kid, and she impacted me so much that when she died, I promised something to her, and we're gonna carry that out. That having so many emotional hooks, but I think what makes God of War, and I say like Bloodborne's the greatest game ever made. God of War is, like, real talk, there's not a game that has hit with me emotionally, gameplay wise as well, that God of War has. That is a perfect game. Because how all these arcs, like this game doesn't need a sequel. It's one of those. But we are getting one, and we're so pumped for it. But it also makes sense, and the fact that like we're entering into no loading times, Kyle. There was no loading times in this game. They're so well hidden.
One shot, one cut, the entire thing, beginning to end.
And never playing a game like that ever. Never had a game played like that, and seeing like all the arcs going back to that point of like seeing them all paid off and having the end game moment at the end. With having all that, like the culmination of all this journey in that one boss fight, which is to me the most epic boss fight in a video game. It didn't feel like a boss fight either. It just felt like something on a different level. And then having that twist at the end. I'm Kyle. I'm not fucking with you guys, okay?
No,
I have chills.
During this conversation, I'm like, am I going to set aside every game that I want to play right now? And am I going to replay God of War before I get my PS5?
Dude.
I'm seriously thinking about it right now.
and honestly, that's one in the wall of shame because I have not platinumed that game.
Ooh.
So I'm not a real fan.
That's a good platinum.
It is a good platinum. So I think with the PlayStation 5, I'm definitely going back and play the shit out of that game. Amazing. It's just an amazing journey. Nagachaka writes in, a special memory for me was the first time I entered Raccoon City Police Department in Resident Evil 2 with the classic soundtrack. The ominous music in the hallway with the beautiful graphics in the remake was pure perfection. Nagachaka over at twitch.tv/PS Trophy Room. I think there's a video somewhere of me getting so scared during a stream that I had to stop. Because I believe I was playing, oh my god. You could play as the 2 characters. Not Jill.
Leon or Claire.
Claire, there you go. I'm playing as Claire with Mr. X, and like he's just waiting for me in a safe room. I was like, and I'm too scared. I beat this game once, and I think I'm good. So like, yeah, that was, and again, seeing so much for Resident Evil fans, so much payoff in this generation had to be one of the best for you. Because RE2 remake was great. Resident Evil 7 was fantastic. And even 3 was very good. Mm-hmm. And then Bruce Stevens, some of my fondest memories on PlayStation 4 would be playing GTA 5 with my friends. Talk about that interconnectivity. It's crazy to think that game started with PS3, and we'll be going into it with PS5. That's another point. Kyle.
Oh, man.
Games are living now. They're a living thing. They should be able to vote. You know? Like, Fortnite's going to be a game that lasts decades. Same with GTA 5. Same with Destiny. We're seeing that carry over. And a huge emphasis on that, you know?
God, GTA 5 is 7 years old.
7 years old.
Good Lord Almighty.
It's in what, first grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a toddler. You know, like someone literally
one
had
of
a
the
kid
worst
and bam.
behaved toddlers in the class, probably.
Hitting the teacher with rulers and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, man, this generation has been phenomenal. Just our little chat here has really cemented the fact that, like, this generation will go down for me as the greatest generation for games.
Absolutely.
And I think this year as well, with you know, the world crisis as it is, like, yeah, Last of Us Part 2, it was a heavy game. And I get why some people come off negative about it. But that is a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And again, I like it better than the first one. I know that's heresy. But, like, no matter what decisions you would have changed or personally made because you were personally invested in those characters, they made you care. And they made you care that much.
Talking about, like, that ending boss fight in God of War, the way Part 2 ends, I wish I had a video camera on my face during that last fight, because the emotions you could read on my face is probably... I don't think that will ever happen.
Dude,
ever again.
And seeing, like, the end scene, I watch that every week.
Yeah.
I'm just like, damn, this is some of the best acting in a video game.
Oh my God, I'm about to cry. Stop it.
Listen, I don't think I could ever forgive you, Kyle, if you cried. But I'd be willing to try. Ghost of Tsushima. That is like, because the Sucker Punch, I was like, Infamous was never my jam. But seeing this, but this game hitting with me, clicking with me, so much so. Like, what a great way of ushering me into the PlayStation 5. Now, that said, we're entering the PlayStation 5. What do you think this next generation is going to be about? What was this generation to you as well? So what was this generation for you as a whole? And entering into the PlayStation 5, what do you think it's going to be?
So I believe... Was it last week when Asa was on? Or was that 2 weeks ago?
That was last week.
That was last week. I believe there was a question, like one word we would use to describe PlayStation. And I said legacy. And that is because the legacy of PlayStation is only growing stronger and stronger. And it's not forgetting where it's coming from. That's how I would describe PS4. And PS5, it's only going to continue to build on that.
Yeah.
I can... At this point, and if you were to ask me in 2 years from now, it might totally change. But, like, I don't see how they can mess it up.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think they're clicking on all cylinders with the projects that are coming out, the studios that are part of PlayStation Studios, the third-party stuff that they're doing together with select publishers and developers. They're hitting on all the right cylinders. Sure, not everything is perfect, but...
Yeah.
The things that matter to me are the games that I'm going to be able to play on my PlayStation, and they're on PlayStation in droves, and they will continue to be in PlayStation in droves. And I think the biggest question, we just talked about Last of Us, we talked about Uncharted. To see what Naughty Dog's going to come out on PlayStation 5 is unprecedented. We have no idea what the next Naughty Dog game is going to be.
Wow, you're right.
It could be a brand new franchise, a brand new IP. Like, it is crazy to think that PS5 is going to bring along a new Naughty Dog thing to blow our minds all over again. Like, that's really exciting.
For me, I think this, I say like, greatness has arrived. But if there is one word that I do, and I said it last week, I'll say here, greatness, man. this generation was just great. Like, looking back on it, I would have told you midway through this generation started slow. I think 6th generation's my favorite, but I think you should always leave a generation going, this is the best. This is the best, and I second that here, because before this, even greatness and passion, because I think what PlayStation instilled in me was that passion to do this, to create this show. Because I was, for a very long time, like, I have those stages. I've said it before, I say it again. I was a Nintendo kid, I was an Xbox teen, and in my adult phases, I find myself relating to the stories that are being told because I want to be engrossed in those stories. I want to be invested in that characters, and I want to be lost in those worlds. And that's what PlayStation has done better than any. And when I take a look at my top 10 games of this generation, half of them are PlayStation games, more than half, right? Like, just off the top of my head, like, it is Ghost of Tsushima, it is Bloodborne, it is God of War, it is Spider-Man, like, it is Uncharted Lost Legacy, like, it is Last of Us Part 2, like, there are just so many great experiences. And so when I think of the PlayStation 5, I think of two things. I think of continuation, but I also think of community because of what we're building here. I think that's the thing that makes me really, really happy, is that seeing that this console, it seems like it's going to focus a lot more on community. And I want to see how that grows with us here. So that said, that's been, for the most part, our memories of the PlayStation 4 entering into the PlayStation 5. What a long but amazing episode this was, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, and going off that last point, like, also I will always remember the PS4 generation as the launch of me podcasting, and for you having me come on, and for us to be almost 3 years into this is wild. Yep. And thanks to everyone for listening all these years.
Absolutely.
If you're a new listener, welcome. Like, you are perfect time. We're about to launch into the PS5.
Yeah.
And also, Joe, this is going to be our last talk before PS5. This is the last episode.
That's crazy.
History in the making. The last Trophy Room episode
until the
stuck
PlayStation 5.
in the current generation. Like, from here on out, we are now in new console generation territory.
Now, everybody, welcome to a hard edit. We just finished the show. We just wrapped, and we got a message from the most famous Seamus I've ever met in my entire life. Which, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for writing in, because we gave you guys very short notice, and y'all really just over-delivered. So thank you all so much. And, it wouldn't be the Trophy Room without a famous Seamus question or comment, and he gave us a whole bunch. So here's what I'm going to read, because I know I'm going to read one. I know this is his favorite game, so I'm going to read it for him, and that is the most famous Seamus I've ever met in my entire life. Writes in Persona 5/P5 Royal. I love almost everything about this game, from the music, the UI, the story, and the characters. While there are moments that aren't great, i.e. those moments with gay men in the original game, or the way the story treats Anne in parts of the game, I still love it. I played the majority of the game in 2019 during the Canadian election. The game really helped remind me to stand up for my beliefs and for others, and to pay attention to my own country's politics, which led me to call out certain politicians, political parties, for having supported bigoted beliefs, i.e. anti-LGBTQ, ableist, racist, etc., lying and putting up their own interests before anyone else's. I guess you can say that Persona 5 has awakened my passion for helping people create a better world. Oh man, this podcast used to be so great until it got political. But that's awesome, Seamus. Like, for me to you, because again, Kyle's not here, I'm editing the show right now. That's amazing. If a game can make you, actually go out and make a difference, that's amazing. That's what art's supposed to do. It's supposed to move you. And if it's moving you to action, especially to causes you believe in, and from what I hear, they're pretty good causes, That's fantastic. That's what the power of video games are all about. So again, I want to thank everybody for writing in. And now let's get back to your normal scheduled trophy room. I real talk, guys, I have no idea where I'm putting this portion of the show. So you're about to find out, just with me. With that said, let's get back to Kyle and Joe. That I can't even imagine that.
Man.
My goodness. Yeah, PlayStation 5, man. It's there. It's coming. We're inching there.
24 hours away.
Or asleep for some folks. It's going to be great. With all that said, with all that out of the way, everybody, we did 2 giveaways for a next-gen copy of a game of your choice. And for the Twitter people out there, if you followed us on PS Trophy Room, you liked and shared all those posts we did, there's a giveaway for you as well. We are going to announce the winners on next show this Friday coming up. I'm going to reach out to the people so I make sure we have those winners and I'm not searching around or scourging the internet for y'all. Or scouring the internet. There you go. It's scourge. If Warcraft 3 popped in my head, it wouldn't be the trophy room every time to make a Warcraft reference. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, Kyle, would you like to pimp out before you go?
For sure. You can find me on Twitter as Mr. KSUP. Oh man, my whole rhythm got knocked off. Let me restart. As always, I like to pimp out myself, Mr. KSUP on Twitter and on PSN. You can find the new rebrand of Kinda NYC, which is now known as 61 Indie. You go to 61indie.com. My buddy and co-founder over there, Mike, just did a review of Bugsnax. Him and his amazing wife, Kelsey, did a creating Bugsnax in real life video where they went to the grocery store and created their own Bugsnax. It's really, really, really great. You can search for 61 Indie on YouTube. And as far as the trophy room on YouTube, Games of the Month for November just went live today. So you can check out everything that's coming on launch on PS5 and some that are also coming to PS4. So go check that out.
And yeah, you can find the trophy room over on YouTube. This week, I did Assassin's Creed Valhalla review discussion with our good friend Luke Lore. You can find all the videos we're going to do on the PlayStation 5. Kyle and I are going to do our respective unboxings for y'all. We're going to do some deep dive on the UI. We're going to do uploading.
And those unboxings, by the way, will also include what do the physical games look like when you open those
look at that.
Will we get manuals again? No, we won't. But you know what? I can dream. I can dream.
Kyle, I'm so excited. With all that said, with all that out of the way, follow PS Trophy Room there. You can follow the Trophy Room on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast services, you can find us there. So, with all that said, with all that out of the way, follow me at Mr. Batman. And all that jazz. More importantly, follow the show, PS Trophy Room on Twitter.
Yeah.
Keep your wits about you.
Subscribe on Spotify, all that jazz.
All of it. And have a nice one. Keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation.
Love you.